Okay, 5 seconds. Welcome to Ability MKE Now on River West Radio. My name is Sue Roskoff, and we're thrilled to be here this evening with Ability MKE Now. We are a show all about integration. We are bringing people with disabilities and people that don't have a disability together and enjoying life here in the Milwaukee area. We are going to be diving into topics of diverse abilities, showcasing a variety of aspects of ability-related topics. So the concept of a disability hits a wide range of possibilities. We could be talking about physical or mental disabilities, the deaf and hard of hearing community, blindness, chronic pain, mental health diagnosis, goal of substance use reduction, chemical sensitivity, you name it. There are so many different things that can fall within that broad category of disability. We here at Ability MKE Now bring topics forward that hit a wide range of these concepts and what we can do to integrate those that have some sort of disability with those who don't. So with that, my name is Sue Roskoff, and as always, we do have Kurt Roskoff here as well. Kurt, you want to pop in and give a quick hello?
Absolutely. Hello, Milwaukee, and to all of the listeners here with River West Radio and this your Ability MKE Now show. As we lay the platform that we are building upon, we dig from 6 pockets of life. So we are looking at our faith lives, our service lives, lifelong learning, our civic duties and what we do with our government, and what we do out there in vocation, occupation with our businesses and jobs. And then the real zinger, everything we do for fun, our pastime, hobbies, leisure activities, travel, sports, recreation. So we kind of build this off of from the Roskoff life with water skiing, and then kind of cross train to say what we learned in, the sport of water skiing, celebrating 100 years of water skiing, thanks to Ralph Samuelson from 1922 at Lake Pepin, Lake City, Minnesota, putting on those showboards I shouldn't say showboards, just simple pieces of wood. Back then, he just strapped some wood to his feet and away he went, and took clotheslines. So he just kind of adapted his life. He had a notion that he could do that, and that's what's happened in the realm of adaptive water skiing, and the type of adapting and adjusting and improvising, being creative, being the MacGyvers of life, to say, where there's a will, there's a way. We can include everybody if we take the time to look at how can we accommodate how what we do works best for another. And I think one way or another, that's the way life works anyway, no matter what you're trying to do with another person or other people. So this is for sure the people business. And, we want it to be that nobody is excluded, nobody left behind, nobody wondering, why community and why Milwaukee or, why anything doesn't work for them. We want universal design, global public inclusive infrastructure. We want to use assistive technology, adaptive equipment. And it just takes learning from the masters of ability. And so who are the masters of ability? Well, if you want to know how to do something better for those with an intellectual and developmental disability, who better to ask but them? If you want to learn how things work best for the deaf or hard of hearing community, who better to ask than those who are deaf or hard of hearing? So we need to communicate with our friends that are deaf or hard of hearing, or those who are blind or visually impaired. We need to get to a point at least where we ask them. Until someone in these communities is available, yeah, we can do the best we can to prepare for that opportunity. So that is what this radio show is inspired to be. Again, big thanks to Marty Hagedorn from right here, River West Radio, with the Youth Rising Up group, another longstanding tradition here, River West Radio. And he exemplified through that advocacy for inner city youth to say, hey, Kurt Roskoff, what do you think about disability advocacy radio? And you know what, folks, we've been doing this for 6 years. And I have to ask myself, and I challenge all of you to report back to Ability MK Now with where you see anywhere in the world disability advocacy radio. It for sure is a rare thing. It for sure is a challenge to find this. And that's part of our mission here with this show, is to show River West Radio as a pioneer in inclusive radio operation, and to say that radio is for everybody. And we need to come together as a global community and inspire other radio stations to follow the example we're setting here. And the Ability MK Now team is available to help anybody out there do this. But for now, River West Radio is your haven for disability advocacy radio. Back to you, Sue.
You know, when you were describing 100 years ago, what it would have been like when he had figured out how to put a piece of wood strapped to his feet to be the first guy ever to actually do water ski. The only thing that went through my mind was a guy looking at his friends and saying, hey, watch this. and I also kind of wonder if there was a, hey, hold my beer in the middle of all that too. I don't know. So that was quite the day back then. I wish I could have seen what actually happened there. With that actually inspired a lot of what we've done, right? With all of the adaptive water skiing. We, with our ski club, we're with the Pewaukee Lake Water Ski Club, and we set aside the first Saturday in August every year to do adaptive water skiing. Traditionally, it's been with ACAP, which ACAP stands for Adaptive Community Approach Program. They are a day program for adults with disabilities out of Waukesha. And Kurt's actually been on the board with them now. How long has it been now? It's been 4 years. Actually, I'm trying to think how long you've been on the board.
It's been a handful of years. It's been more in the neighborhood of 5, I believe.
Okay, sneaking up to 5 already. Time flies. So we got to have our awesome day on the water. The weather could not have been better. It was gorgeous. We had very little wind, so it was a nice calm water. We did the event from 9 until noon. So luckily, with being in the morning like that, it wasn't too hot, because I think by early afternoon we were looking at 90-ish that day. And for Wisconsin, that's pretty toasty. So we were glad to get that all in, and we had what did we end up with? We had a dozen participants. So it was a really great day. We had a lot of new people out there, people who both new with helping and new with being participants. And we heard some great feedback. I know one of the moms had sent a note back after the event that her son skied for the first time ever that day, and using the sit ski. And he's a guy who he's nonverbal. He does not communicate through speaking, and she said he's very tech savvy. So he does a lot of things on this computer. And she had mentioned back that ever since that experience of being on the water with us and water skiing, that he's been on YouTube searching up all sorts of water skiing videos ever since then. So that was pretty exciting. I thought that was a definite win, and he must have had a good time. We knew he had a good time. It was a lot of fun out there. And I was thrilled to hear such feedback like that. And actually, I am going to ask Kurt one more question here, because I know another fun activity that has been happening in the recent weeks here with ACAP, speaking of ACAP, is adaptive kayaking. So I know you and actually our daughter Alana have both been able to team up with some of the folks with ACAP to do some adaptive kayaking. Now, that's something I've never done, and I've not much seen it. Can you tell us more about what you all are doing when you guys are going adaptive kayaking?
Sure. While I'm doing this, I want to just make sure to provide an online reference to keep this handy as I describe this. It is ACAP, ACAP Waukesha.org, acap-waukesha.org. with that, there's a page on there with their recreational program. There's many things that the ACAP members get to enjoy, both in indoor and outdoor recreation, that are provided in the mode that our members are adults with disabilities. And so in the city of Waukesha, here in Waukesha County, along the Fox River, right at what is Frame Park, there is a nice kayak launch that was just installed in the recent years there in the city through a wonderful project by the Waukesha Park and Rec Department. And so there's a marvelous accessible kayak launch. And they also are using what's traditionally known as stand-up paddle boards, SUP boards, but we just more call them paddle boards, because not all of our friends are actually going to stand up on these boards. But for launching all that stuff, a nice little pier and decking area. And then even with the paddles, with the bar of the paddles, they even have notches along the one, so that if you have difficulty pushing off or scooting yourself off or figuring out a way to stay with the kayak and get out on the water, you can actually use your paddle for leverage. You just find the notches and you click it into the notch. It's just an open notch. You just rest it in there and then you pull, and you can pull yourself into the water. So it's simply a kayaking opportunity where we go out there with the members. Most of the time we're always using a two-person, a kayak, because then what that does is that allows a community guide to go along with our members to help them get assured that they're going to have an enjoyable time on the water and everything's safe. And then it's more social too, better interactions. So with that, I want to come on in with our diva, DE for Denise, VA for Vargas, DEVA, diva. And I want to see if she's able to do a check-in here with River West Radio as our co-host. And as we're talking adaptive sports and rec and so forth, Diva, maybe you have some experiences to share too. Take it away, Diva.
Well, hello, Milwaukee. I love saying that even though I am from New York. But I do love saying that. I love being here with you guys. And, I don't have any kayaking experience or water skiing. But I think I will be quicker to get into the kayak than on the water skis. So that might be a to-do thing in the future. Who knows? But, that sounds like fun. And fun fact, Edwin Edeberry from the Happy Neighborhood Project loves kayaking, so maybe we can take him along with us. That'd be fun.
Yes. So Denise, I want to get a little bit more insight from you though, in your life and with like accessible trails in parks or even in museum spaces or anything that you've been out there doing adventuring, whether it's any cycles that you've done that are adaptive cycles, or what have you done in life that has been using adaptive sports and rec equipment, or just otherwise you've appreciated with your power wheelchair, that things have just worked for you to go out there and participate in entertainment, leisure, travel. Tell us a little bit about this from your life.
So actually, speaking of sports, I'm not a huge sports fan, but a couple of years ago I actually participated a little bit in demo exercise, which is a lot of fun, for power chair soccer. So it was they strapped this kind of like a bar in front of you, and you play with like a bigger soccer ball than the average, but it's a lot of fun, and it's just like moving, trying to get the ball to maneuver in the direction that you want. It's really challenging. So at first I thought it was cool watching it and didn't think it was going to be that difficult, until now I'm like, okay, well now how do I do that? And I'm actually a pretty good, like when I maneuver my chair, I can turn in a teeny tiny little spot. So I'm pretty good at maneuvering my chair. But when I had to move this ball, I'm like, okay, wait a minute, it's not so easy as I thought, but it was a lot of fun. So yeah, that was fun. And as far as accessibility, um, I wish that we were a little bit more accessible. We are getting there. We are definitely getting there. But there is still more work to be done. But what I want to just go back for a moment when you were saying that if you want to know something from X community, whether it's from the visually challenged or the mobility challenge or whatever community it is, ask them directly, right? Because as much as we love our able-bodied friends that are there for us, they're helping us, they're rallying with us, no one's going to know more than the person that is living it. So, yeah, thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah, and with one of the local groups here, that Damian Bookman actually it has for quite a few years now has been doing sporting events that are wheelchair sports on Friday nights. And that's something, when you were mentioning that, it made me think about how much fun those events were. They're not power chairs, but they're all athletic chairs. So, and he just calls it a different pair of shoes. So everybody gets to have a seat and gets to play all sorts of different ball. And it's been a lot of fun. They even came out to Alana's junior high school sometime over the winter. I forget when exactly it was, but they had a couple days out there where the gym class she was in actually got to play some of the wheelchair sports. And she said it was a huge hit with the students. They absolutely loved it. So I wish they would have, could actually do more than just a day of it, because once you get the flavor of it, it's like, oh, this is fun. This is something different. And it kind of levels the playing field in some respects, because some of the kids are already big and talented with certain sports. And then to put on a different pair of shoes like that and actually be wheeling around, in a wheelchair to play the sport, totally new ball game, right?
It's a lot of fun. When I see others getting into a manual chair and trying to turn, just going forward is difficult enough. But when they're trying to turn, you do get a little kick out of it. It's fun. It's a lot of fun to hang out in. Like you said, it's a new pair of shoes, and I always tell people, listen, my chair, my wheels are my legs, right? Like, I use them to get around, to do whatever it is I need to do. So, different pair of shoes, different pair of legs, but it's all good. We get to moving and grooving and having a lot of fun.
And that's actually something that I had to learn over the course of time here with doing all the adaptive sports that we do. That I see volunteers come and want to do too much help, right? Somebody who uses a manual wheelchair all the time, maybe they don't want you to be pushing them across the dock or whatever. They can do it themselves. That's what they do. And it's interesting, because I know I've seen it. Actually, I had that same temptation when I was first getting involved with all this, because I didn't know. I'm trying to figure out how can I be helpful, and it was actually some of our friends that are wheelchair users that were kind enough to educate us that, hey, I will ask when I need help. At some point they're going to need help with different things, but they're in control of what they're doing. They know themselves better than we do, right? They know what their abilities are. Right. And I know even when we had our event this couple weeks ago that was at Pewaukee, there was one of our friends there in a wheelchair that he was wheeling himself up the ramp off of the dock, and we got guys that are right away, they're trying to help him up, and it's like, ask first. Just right. Ask. And he's ready to tell you that, no, I got it, I got this. He's very independent, and he was just fine. But when he needed a hand, he would ask, and everybody's ready to hop right in and do whatever he asks, Absolutely. But yeah, it's that whole thing of just ask first. They're happy to share, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's interesting because, like you said, ask, and if they need help, they'll say it. But it's almost like when you were talking about walking up the ramp. Like, imagine if you're walking up the ramp, and I always tell people this. Imagine that someone is walking up somewhere, or walking down the ramp, walking up the ramp, whatever. And your first instinct is to go and help them, right? They're rolling up the ramp. You want to go and help them. Well, what if it was the other way around? Just think about it. Would you want someone to just push you and say, hey, Sue, here, let me just push you from the back and get you up that ramp, right? Like, it's a little awkward. So I know that people's first instinct is to help, but just think about the fact that if they need the help, they're going to ask, right? I'm the first person to always ask. I can be down the store, and if something is too high, I'm like, hi, hello, excuse me. Can you just please reach that for me? So, yeah.
Yeah, because really it takes their control away, right?
Yeah.
If somebody else behind them that they can't see is suddenly pushing them, and like I'm thinking of in this instance, that we're on we're on a dock. It's not terribly wide, and now the person has no control because somebody else just decided for them that they're going to help them out. That's a little awkward, right?
Absolutely. And it's their personal space. Like I
Yeah.
said, it's like me going and touching you without me, letting you know that, hey, I'm right next to you. If you need any help, just let me know.
Yeah, sometimes it's just that learning curve. That was another thing that popped up from that same event, that one of the moms after the event was talking with me a little bit more, and they were just enjoying some time in the park there, and one of the comments she made kind of hit me uh kind of in a way that I didn't expect, because she has two boys that both are wheelchair users and are mostly nonverbal, and she was very thankful because of the way the event went, and with how we were coordinating things. We actually talked to the boys. We didn't just talk to mom. There our folks were actually interacting with our participants, and sometimes, if for somebody who's nonverbal, it might be a challenge, because this is new for us. We don't know you yet, and she was just up and down thankful that we were interacting with the boys. And she said, you know what, you guys gave me a chance to actually be a mom, and to be in the role of mom and cheering them on and taking pictures, versus having to take the time to educate the volunteers, to say, hey, talk to them, explain to them what's going on. Don't, she wants to know too, obviously, but they're right there, talk to them. So she actually, I didn't even think about any of this at the time when the event was happening, but that was that big of a thing for her that day too, that she's like, she actually came up and gave me a big hug. She's like, I'm so glad I got to be a mom today. Like,
Yeah.
wow, that's perspective.
I love that. And you know what else I love that you just said? You said wheelchair user instead of wheelchair bound. Like, it's again about educating the person, um, proper disability etiquette and just verbiage, right? Like, no one's bound to their wheelchairs. Like, are you bound to your sofa? No, right? You do get up.
Some are, no, just kidding.
For sure, for sure. But I love the fact that you said wheelchair user as opposed to wheelchair bound.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was honestly, Kurt taught me that one way well, and Chad too, actually, way long ago, because there was a move. I don't know if it's a movement or what exactly you call it, but that Kurt was involved in and learned a lot from, with People First. It was a group called People First, and it was all about people first language, where like you're saying, that you're not wheelchair bound, or it's not that you're autistic, it's a person with autism. It was just a matter of how you frame it, makes all the difference in the world. It takes it from it takes the label away,
Right, right. And there's always a time and a place to use it, right? Like, for example, if we're going to hang out, do you need to tell people, oh, my friend Denise is going to come in, and she's a wheelchair user? Like, do you need to tell them that? No, you don't. Now, if we were going to a restaurant, you might want to ask if it's accessible because, one of the people that's going to go, happens to use a wheelchair. So is it wheelchair accessible? That's all you need to ask, but you don't need to tell my friend Denise is in a wheelchair. Like, why do they need to know that?
Exactly. It's like, I'm not mentioning that, hey, my two friends are coming with, and the one he wears glasses.
Exactly.
Yeah, whatever. You're exactly right. That may keeping it relevant, right?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Well, and I do want to make a quick mention here of a fun event that's coming up this weekend that we've gotten the privilege of volunteering at an event. It's called At the Lake, and it's a local event here, actually super local to us. And takes place on Lake Keesus. And I'm going to just pull up the details here so that I can actually read those off and make sure I've got everything accurate here. So it's called At the Lake. It was established, and actually the website is atthelakeevent.com. It was established in 2018, and it's a 2-day event. It's going to be on Friday and Saturday, August 19th and 20th. And they are, what they do with all of the activities, and it is incredible. Here's a list of activities: water skiing, tubing, pontoon boat rides, kayaking, fishing from shore, swimming, hay rides, adaptive rock climbing, and more. It is amazing what they all gather together and create in this massive event. Like I said, it's 2 days in a row. It's crazy that they have that many participants and that many volunteers. And get this was a new one for me. They have this awesome online system for signing up, even for volunteering. I went on there a couple weeks ago to sign up as a volunteer. It was full. Registration was closed for volunteers. They were full. They were still accepting participants, but they have so many volunteers that signed up. We're on a waiting list to be able to volunteer.
Wow.
How often does that happen? Wow. That's incredible. So I'm super excited for that. I mean, that's how do you measure success of an event? I think that says a huge amount right there, that they are full with their volunteers, and I think they're still accepting participants. I actually did not go back and double check that. Like I said, they have a wait list for volunteers now. So if you're interested, it's still a possibility, but no guarantees. Because I know another friend too that has participated as a volunteer at the last event, and she also was saying, she's like, well, can I just show up? I'm like, honestly, I don't know. You'll have to contact them. That is a great question. But what an amazing thing. Wow. Have you been to any programming or any event or anything like that where they have so many opportunities like that at one time?
No, I gotta tell you that it seems like Wisconsin is the place to be for all this fun activity, because I've never seen anything like that over here by where I live. I mean, of course we have our events and stuff, but it's never that massive with so many activities that you can choose from. Love to do the rock climbing.